Divergence trade targets. Now, once a divergence occurs with price and the momentum indicator, what we're going to do is we're going to isolate the high or the low between the points that diverged. And we do this because it's a very common target for the corrective cycle, and we can use this to project price moves or even trade targets. If we enter into a trade, we can use these points for those trade targets. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of examples here on a chart of these divergence trade targets. All right, so here's our Euro US dollar. This is a 60-minute chart, and you can see the divergence here, price moving lower. We have the MACD here cycling higher. Now, this did move into a double divergence, so if you were trading the trend line break in here, it probably wouldn't have worked out so well. So we did have this move a little bit lower into a double divergence. At this point, didn't really look like a wedge, so we wouldn't have labeled this as a wedge. Now, what I want to isolate here is once we do see price start to rally here in this divergence, kicking in with price qualifying this, we're going to look for price. We're going to isolate that high point between these points that diverged. Okay, and that level is right here. Okay, here's the divergence target area. Basically, this is the high point between the points that diverged, and that's where we'll look for price to come and test. Now we're going to just push this forward a bit, and here you can see that we rallied up. Price rallied up right into that level. Pretty volatile move here. Probably had some type of a data event come out. Spiked through the target area before getting quite a bit of a setback here. So you can see how this divergence target area, the high between the swing points, became a level of resistance. And essentially a good target for a long trade here if trading this divergence. Here's a daily chart, and we can see it on a larger scale where we have price moving higher, MACD cycling lower here. Again, over here, MACD or price moving higher, MACD cycling lower here. And you can see the end of this first cycle came right down to that low point, right down to the low point here between the points that diverged. All right, and if I push this forward here, you can see the price came down here again, targeting the low point between the points that diverged. Just moving the chart forward here, we can see another example. Price moving higher, MACD swinging lower. Didn't make it all the way there, but came pretty close. So you can see how we were moving down towards that level. Fell a little bit short at that point, but nevertheless very close. Obviously, everything's not always going to be perfect here. Let's just continue to look for some more divergences and look at these target areas. Well, actually, and this is a current look that we're looking at, where not only do we have the wedge here and this divergence that was a qualified divergence setup, but you can also see if we look across here, price moving higher, where MACD is cycling lower here through both of these cycles, and that's why we have a line drawn here at these lows. That would be a good target area for this divergence. You can see we've already moved down very close to targeting that area, and if this divergence setup plays out and we move into this zone, which is also the equal legs 127% zone of this initial cycle pullback, 100 or equal legs to 127, falls right around this support area, which is the low between the larger swings that diverged here. And that was also my trade target for the divergence setup here that I was in, and this was on Friday. Now this is the weekend's past. I actually closed out that trade when we didn't get the movement on Friday. I closed it out with the weekend coming, and then once the market opened back up, we continued to trade lower here. Okay, but you can see how the market is targeting that level. So it's a good target for the potential trade, as well as to look for some support here when price gets there. And another potential thing we can look at here, and obviously we don't know if this is going to fulfill, but it almost looks like we could be seeing some type of diagonal here because we are seeing divergence right now between these swings. So we could see this move into some type of a diagonal pattern into that level, which would even be more powerful if this does continue in a diagonal down into this support level. That could be a really good level to watch for something to develop. Okay, so you can see how everything kind of works together here. And it gives us a probability, it gives us a target zone to watch for and where we want to look for a potential trade opportunity if these things do develop. Here's a weekly euro yen. And we see here that we have price moving lower, and we're actually looking at another diagonal here. MACD cycling higher. Here's our high point between the points that diverged. Actually, let me go ahead and just draw the divergence target here. Okay, so this is a divergence target. It's also that ending diagonal or a wedge that we just showed. So that will be a solid target for the next potential once price does break out of the wedge and we get the reversal. And obviously you can see us rally right here where we found some bit of resistance here initially at this level. Okay, but a good level for the price target. Again, the high point between the points that diverged. And here you can see this is from the daily trade plan. This is a current setup that's in our section of the daily trade plan service. And you can see here that we've labeled this, and you can see how I keep it very simple a lot of times with the labeling. We're really only looking, I only care about the labels when it comes to how we're really trying to make the trades. So we labeled this as a double, a WX. We're looking for an equal legs 127 move, which lined up very nicely with this divergence target area where we had price moving lower, MACD cycling higher, and that was a good target area that we were looking for. We also had a qualified divergence right here when price rallied and then pulled back. Didn't get much of a pullback here like we did on the euro, so didn't end up being a trading opportunity because we didn't see a deep enough pullback here, but we did have a qualified divergence, and now we've seen this continue to rally higher here towards this divergence target area. Okay, so divergence trade targets, we're going to use them a lot in our trading. So go through your price charts and look at divergence, start to get a feel for it, and look at how many times when we do have the divergence, the price targets that high or low between the points that diverged.